it's not. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the special public meeting of March 11, 2024 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers on March 5th, 2024, and this notice has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board and on the Township website. Would everyone please stand for a salute to the flag? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilman Sears.
Here.
Councilman Oman.
Here.
Councilwoman Velez. Here. Council President DeSena.
Here. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Peter Calamari, Administrator Mark DiCarlo, CMFO John Corcoran, and Township Clerk Susan Witkowski. There are no approval of minutes tonight. Do I have a motion to open the meeting to the general public, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Would anybody like to come up and address the council at this time? Mr. Agnello?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm just coming to ask if there's any information. I understand that the 666 Corporation, Seasons Corporation, has postponed their county lawsuit against the town because we're now negotiating on the property, talking, discussing other alternatives. No?
Mr. Pollard is not on tonight, but it is being discussed not tonight in closed, but it's something we can't discuss at this time, Mr. Agnello.
Okay. Well, my second question too, if it wasn't a yes, would be, is it possible that the people that bought the property be part of the discussion? Rather than town just have a conversation with one resident to see what's best for a corner, why not include all the property owners that either touch or come within 200 feet of it, 50 feet of it, whatever way you want to look at it, so that there's more input to maybe come up with the best solution?
I don't know the answer to that question, but Mr. Mayor, if we could reach out to Mr. Pollard or Mr. DiCarlo, if Mr. DiCarlo could reach out to Mr. Pollard for an
Only if
answer.
it's possible.
I don't know if it's possible or not, right? I mean, do you, Mr. Mayor, is it possible or?
Sorry, I don't know. This is all new to me, this type of lawsuit like that, so I don't want to misspeak.
So we'll have to get back to you, Mr. Agnello, on that answer, on
Okay,
that
great.
question.
Thank you.
All right? Is that something Mr. DiCarlo can get back to Mr. Agnello on? Anybody in the audience? No one else in the audience, unless Mrs. Agnello wants to get up? Anyone on Zoom?
Nobody that has a hand raised.
Motion to close the public portion of the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to start the 2024 budget discussion. I guess we'll start on page 1 and proceed. Okay, on page 1, we're not going to do salaries until we determine what night we're going to raise those employees, correct, gentlemen and ladies?
Correct.
I have nothing, my statement to that is I will not take part in any rice notice.
Okay,
I will remove myself from the dais and sit in the senior room until you finish your acquisition of the employees. That's my statement.
thank you, Mr. Spears.
I am, just for the record, I'm also not in favor of ricing our employees. I don't think it's necessary.
Thank you. Mr. Ullman, Mr. Cassia?
Yeah, I agree. We could leave all salaries to the end of the budget, discuss those at that time.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments for page 1?
Yes. And it starts. The grant consultant, is that a contracted amount? And is that a multi-year contract that we're signed up for?
The answer is yes. And
Yes
it
and
was-
yes.
I'm sorry, 2 years.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
2 yeses.
2 years, this is the second year.
All right.
So the 32,400 is the
Exact number, yes.
contracted amount
And it expires at end of
this year.
year end '24?
Correct.
Thank you.
Council President?
Yes, Mrs. Velez.
I just want to understand how we're going to go through this. In past practice, we've gone by page and then taken a vote on the page.
Well, that's why I
Is
asked.
that what
Well,
we're doing?
Yeah, that's what I intended to do. I was
Okay.
going to take, yeah, that was the intent.
Okay.
But I was going to ask a question if anybody had any, wanted to discuss anyone on page one, like that one. So Mr. Ullman had a question. I believe you have your response now, Mr. Ullman.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyone else on page one? Okay, page two.
So-
Are we going to vote on
Yes.
page one?
Yes, so we're
No,
going to vote.
you can't because you didn't discuss the
We're going to
administrative.
vote on the grant consultant, just that one line. We can't vote on that page because we still have to write those employees, right? But we can vote on the grant consultants, right?
Well, then it would be line by line.
Then
You do it in one
Yes.
line.
Or
That's
you,
fine.
or you
You
should
should-
have done.
You should do line by line. If you're not doing the whole page, and it's line by line.
Well, I mean, for this page, since we're missing 1, 2, 3, 4, that we can't discuss tonight because we didn't write them. We can't do that page.
Fine.
So if we could just.
So some pages won't have salaries on them at all, and so
Correct,
we'll have,
yeah. So we'll have to flag page one until we determine when we're going to write those employees.
when will that determination be made?
I guess as we go through the pages, Councilwoman Velez, we'll figure out when we can, because how much time do we need to write the employees?
48 hours.
48 hours, okay,
So for Monday, they'd have to give it to them on a Friday. They'd have to sign off on a Friday.
okay. All right, page two. Does anyone have any questions on page two?
Yes. I'd like to reduce office supplies by $300 to a total of $2,700.
Is that 10%?
That represents 10%, yes.
Then I'm a yes for that. I'll second that motion.
So I guess we're gonna take a vote on 4-01-20-100-210 to lower it by $300 to $2,700. We have a motion by Mr. Ullman and a second by Dr. Cassio. Roll
so
call.
do you discuss it?
Oh,
Usually
discussion, I'm sorry, discussion?
My question is, so you're lowering it to 2,700. Are we keeping a tab of all these cuts?
Yes, I will keep it in, I will hold the, I'll reconcile, and then we'll reconcile at the end, so everybody can see.
May I ask a question?
Excuse me?
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Last year, 2,946 was used. What's the basis for cutting 10%? Since, how do we decide that we're going to stop buying paper clips or staples or?
Well, the year before, we only used 2,436, so. it's-
Yeah, but the year before that, we used 2,800, so, and the year before that. So if you're going to go that route, look at all 5 years.
Yeah. I'm okay with the cut.
My
But
concern is,
no one's answering my question. What are we going to do when we run out of money?
yes, correct.
Well,
We have to be fiscally responsible and not run out of money.
This budget is fiscally responsible. And past practice shows that.
well, if there are overages in the other accounts within the control, you could do that like you've done this year, or, my apologies, like you did in 2023, excuse me. So, you know,
I said what I had to say. I just,
Thank you.
I don't see how we're going to do this if this is going to be the practice throughout a lot of the budget.
Well, here's the
So
thing.
you just shut down the permits or papers needed, and you just can't give them to the citizens. That's it. That's the bottom line.
They just flagged it for now.
Okay, so we're not voting.
Right, correct.
Yeah, there was no, Mr.
Can
DeCarlo, there was
we-
nothing, there was nothing.
Nothing on it. So you're
Because it's a
voting.
contractual agreement.
oh, I thought it was.
Oh, so you don't have to vote on that line?
No, we will vote on it, but we're going to flag that page.
When the
because
whole,
we have-
I got you. Thank you.
Can we split the difference? lower it at 150? If we're going to,
I mean, I'd like to start at 300, and if we need to come back, we can move up, not move up, my apologies, revisit it, but I'd like to leave it at 300 at the moment.
Any other discussion?
Mike, just saying there are no salaries on this page. Will you be doing the whole page in this case?
Yeah, so
Okay.
we'll, right now, there's a motion to lower that by
Right.
300. Any other on this page?
I do just have one further question. If we look at the audit trail on page 7,
You said page 7, Mr. Holmes?
it's the audit trail on page 7, yes.
Yep.
If we move down about halfway, there's a 58A, CF258A toner cartridge. That would be in the description. I could give you a PO.
I see it.
So there's $71 there. There's $71 immediately below it. And then if you go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, there's another 71, another 71, and another 71. And it's the same PO. It's being paid in multiple checks. So I'm just trying to understand.
So if you look at the first page for the check number 43024,
Okay,
if right under it, that check was then voided. I wouldn't be able to give you the reason why it was voided. The new check number 43179, and then that one was voided. And then there was a new check for 43275. So it was actually only paid once.
okay. And you don't have any insight into that?
No, I do not remember that, no.
And the only reason I ask is it makes it difficult, and I understand that there's a need maybe to make these corrections, but if you go to the next page, we see that again for the whiteboard, the bulletin bar, the toner, so was there an issue at this point, or is there anything that we should be aware of?
Nothing that I'm aware of that you should be concerned about.
Okay. And then the one last question is at the very front of this, or the top page, on page 6, the first lines, is there, did something change within the system where these are being entered differently?
Top of page 6 for office supplies?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I don't understand the
So
question.
if you look at,
I see it's all one PO, and I'm guessing it went against
Well, you
the
see-
temporary budget.
Right, but if the first is an expenditure, then oftentimes you'll see the same PO where it shows it's paid. And then sometimes checks are voided because the contractor or the vendor will call us and say they never received it. Sometimes it wasn't an updated address, sometimes it was lost in the mail and therefore it's voided. It's just one example of why something would be voided out. But I don't have a more specific answer as to why the typing is different. It does look like there may have been some type of internal note for that one PO 0326 and it says post
Mr. DeCroo, can you just talk up a smidge more?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I have no specific answer that I could remember from April of 2023 under,
But when you take all those voids, it adds up to more than $300 that we're trying to cut. So it would put that item close to what we're asking for right now.
yeah, so no, I don't think
Yeah, because
that would satisfy.
Well, the control line, if you keep track of it, whether they're voided or not, it still keeps adding them up. It doesn't
Right.
deduct them.
So when you see those asterisks, it does not affect the balance of it. So it's accurate that that amount was spent.
Okay.
If that's the, the ultimate question, then that, yes, it was accurate that $2,946.98 was spent.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else on page 2 we'd like to discuss?
Oh, yeah. So are we discussing line by line?
Well, Ms. Velez asked if we went by page, but it seems like you want to go line by line, so I guess we'll go line by line.
Well, I have questions for individual lines.
Okay, then
So,
I guess, Ms. Velez, to answer your question, we're going line by line.
for postage, can I ask what should be flowing through there? And did anything change from moving from last year to 2023? Because
From 22 to 23 probably is your question.
from 22 to 23, and then, what has continued to go through there?
So all township postage now runs through this account line. So the change from 22 to 23 is we consolidated lines. So last year in the budget, there was a note, I think it was in the tax collectors lines, that we were not funding that line and we were moving the anticipated expense to this postage line. That's why it went from 9,000 to 13,500. So we were expecting about $4,500 to come out of that. And that's from sending out the tax bills or the anticipated tax bills. So this year, the request of $500 is because of the increase in postage. I think postage is 68 cents now. So it went up 2 cents or 3 cents.
Okay, and is this just the machines, or is this just postage?
This
or
is just postage. This is not the machine.
Mr. DeCarlo,
Yeah.
if I may, I have your note from last year.
Okay, thank you.
It says postage for all departments, tax office, purchasing, clerks, PD, DPW, court planning, zoning, certified mailing. And there's a note that the increase in postage went from 57 to 60. And I know that it has increased once again.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So we should be showing the other line items from 2022 in the budget still, right, Mr. Corcoran? Because it's got to show for 5 years in the book.
It is in there, yes.
Okay, so we
It's just
should be able-
zero balance.
Okay.
Okay, so,
So it encompasses quite a few departments and offices.
It's all departments. All mail goes through that postage.
Okay.
so this may be premature because we haven't discussed the township calendar, but,
Does that flow through here also?
well, the postage for the calendar is in here, which is why I'm bringing it up. And there was $1,341 of postage for the calendar. And, when we get to that line, it would be something I would like to discuss to not do the calendar. So if that's the case, I would like to reduce that by the 1341.08 that was done for calendars in 2023. So I'm proposing a reduction of $1,341.
Can you just point out to me where you see $1,300?
The first line of the book, the first line of, so it's page 9. The first line is $641. And then if you turn the page, there's a postage for 2024 calendars, which is $700.
Okay, so you're stating that as you get further along in the budget, you're going to propose not to send out township calendars?
That would be my intention. So that's why I'm explaining why I'm asking for that reduction.
I mean, we budgeted 13,500. We used all 13,500. Very difficult for me to sit up here in March and anticipate how much mail is going to go through the township. I mean, again, not to express frustration, but this is the postage line. This is how we conduct correspondence through the town. And this is the early onset indication of what's going to happen with this budget. This is postage. This is a discretionary line.
Well, it's a discretionary
Excuse my
line
frustration,
as it
Councilman.
relates to the calendar.
Okay.
And I try to explain the reasoning behind it. And if that's not adequate, my apologies,
Mr. Ullman, if I may,
certainly.
just to make you aware, a lot of the fundraising and sponsorship is conducted through the postage system. We send it through the mail, and that is how sponsors become aware, which brings money into the town for us to fund a lot of the activities that happen. So if we do not have the adequate funds for that, we're not going to seek the sponsorships to maintain the events for our community.
So
So the $500 ask is minimal in comparison to what we get for sponsorship.
okay. So can I ask, not asking if you agree or disagree with my comment about the calendar, because,
Oh, I can give you my opinion. Last year I did bring it up because we tend to move a more modern fashion. And it was the opinion of many who I spoke with that many of our residents appreciate having a physical calendar. And after hearing it from quite a few people, they changed my mind, and I agree that we should send out the calendar, not only for the physical accessibility to our seniors in particular, but also how businesses get to advertise within the calendar. And once again, support our community. So I think the minimal savings there does not outweigh what we get in return.
If I can clarify, that was 2 years worth of postage. So in the beginning of the year, that was postage for 23. And this was 24. So if that's the direction, I would ask you politely not to do the 1,300. However, I guess do 700. So it wasn't $1,300 in 2024 for postage. I would say it was 700, which would probably be a little more moving forward for 25.
So we're in that line item, we're doing 23 and 24 for that?
So we paid the calendar a year late, Mr. DiCarlo, is what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is most likely we didn't have enough money at the end of 22 to pay for the postage for the calendar, so we had to wait till 23's temporary budget came out to pay for that. This year, we had enough money in the line that we were able to pay for it, therefore using leftover from last year to pay for it.
The calendars went out in February of 2022, and we're saying we didn't pay for the postage until January 27th of 2023.
You load the machine with postage. Well, this I think was direct.
Mr. DeCarlo, you got to talk into your microphone, please. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't specifically remember that expense.
okay. So then I will, based on your explanation, if I could amend my motion to reduce it by 700.
I'll second the 700.
Which 700 where? Are we
700
still-
from postage, still on postage.
We're still on postage, okay, so
So
we're jumping back
talking-
with the calendar, so
Well,
trying to
the
understand.
postage to the calendar is what's causing the fuss.
So the item on page 2 or further down?
Page 2, item
Page
2.
2,
Item 2.
100, 220 is what we're
Okay.
discussing.
All right, anything else on this page?
Yeah, books and subscriptions. We budgeted 75 and 100 and 120 in the past 5 years. We've used 25. The ask is 75. I want to reduce it by 50, leave it at 25. You're not spending it. Apparently it's not used. So I'll make a motion to reduce that by 50 to $25 from 75.
Councilman Cassie, you need to speak into your microphone too. I'm sitting right
Yeah,
here and having a
yeah,
hard
it's
time
fine.
hearing you people.
Okay, is that better?
Yes, I
Okay,
think,
wonderful.
maybe.
So, line item 100, 240, the ask is 75. They've only spent 25 in the last 4 years per year, except for 2021, they spent nothing. So I'm asking to reduce it by $50 to $25.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
For office supplies, you said the cut is based on, hopefully there's enough money left in the control, but now going line by line, you're cutting every line. So it seems like you're going to decimate the control also, at least based on these first few line items.
Okay. Anything else on this page?
One second. So can I ask on furniture and equipment, just to your point, in the details, there's lease of the postage machine. I'm assuming that's monthly with Great America, and then it switches to quarterly. Do we know what the amount is that the lease is going forward?
So this year, we're not going to have a lease. We elected to purchase a machine last year, which is why you see such a dramatic decrease in funds requested from 2,400 to 1,500. So now with that 1,500, we're just going to be spending money on the quarterly meter fee.
What is that, Mr. DeCarlo? What does that mean?
There's a fee to have a meter in the postage machine.
Oh.
I did not know what that specific amount is off the top of my
And
head.
then it's just the maintenance fee.
And the yearly maintenance fee, yes. So that's why we reduced it by $900.
My recollection from my early days is you can't buy a meter, that always has to be leased. You can buy the machine, but not the meter itself.
That makes, okay.
Mike, can I go back to travel and mileage stipend 100, 280?
Well, let's finish with Mr. Ullman on this furniture and equipment
Okay,
first.
fine.
Mr. Ullman, does that answer your question on?
It does, thank you.
equipment? Okay. You want to go back to 100, 280?
So right now we have the stipend of $600, right, for travel for a number of individuals, and we're starting with this one. So my ask is to reduce that by $100 to $500. That's my motion.
So change the annual stipend from 600 to 500?
Yeah.
This particular position travels throughout town looking for potholes and other items.
Mhm.
So in a personal car.
Mhm.
I thought we had a vehicle available for the employees of the town to use during the daytime. Mr. Mayor, is that not correct?
I must confess, I don't know offhand.
I thought we had a pickup or a little car I forget what type of car it is, but there is a car.
There's a Hyundai that has labeled code enforcement, so it's
Okay.
utilized by the code enforcement officer and sometimes the zoning officer so yes, there's one car.
And that's not just for this, I think that should go for all stipends for mileage and travel. So I'm not just
So
honing in
100
on
or-
administration.
Do you want to go
I think I
back to
wanna do it.
500?
I'd like to go to 500. So that's my ask.
Sorry, are you saying 100 or is that a percentage that you're looking at?
No, just 100.
Okay.
100 off.
100 off. So it's
100
five,
off, but I'm saying
500.
across every position that has a stipend for
Any-
travel and mileage.
Well, most of them are, I should say, most of them are 600. I could be wrong. I think they're all 600.
No.
Like I said, I could be wrong. So for this one, I'd ask for 5. That's all. And the other ones that are 6, I'd ask for 5 as well. That's my ask.
Anybody second that?
Steve, would you, if you're going to propose a reduction, would you consider 50 in line with the 10% that has been discussed previously?
I consider it, sure. I'll change my ask to 550.
I'll second that.
Okay. Anything else on this page?
Oh, you got it.
What's that?
Never mind.
5.
Anything else on this page?
Not that I can think of.
Mr. DeCarlo, the advertisements, we only used $30 and we're asking for 500. What would that be for?
Do you want my honest answer or my sarcastic answer?
Well, you're probably gonna give us both.
The indications that you're already affecting the money that's going in the employees' pockets, I would significantly consider the fact that you may be looking for new employees. But we reduced it to 250. So again, I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea
Okay,
what positions will need to be filled.
thank you. So on page 2, we have a motion to reduce office supplies by 300, reduce postage by 700, reduce books and subscriptions by 50, reduce travel and mileage stipend by 50, and everything else the same. Do I have a motion for that, those changes?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Roll call? This is for page 2.
Right. Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Page 3. Moving on. The control for number 1 is training at the top of the page. So that first line is for training, which is at the end of page 2, just if anybody didn't catch that.
Do we have a plan, a training plan for the year?
So there's no formal training plan, but if you were able to review the job classifications, you have in there mandatory training that's required by the specific position. That would essentially be our training plan. So some positions require mandatory training, like the tax collector or the QPA or the clerk's office. And then some positions don't require mandatory training. And then some positions require, the joining of organizations, attending conferences, dues, things like that.
So the recycling public policy, would that be a class that would be taken again in 2024? Or would there be an alternate class of not an alternate, would there be an alternate topic that might be undertaken by one of the employees in this line?
The recycling public policy? I know recycling, but I'm sorry, I'm just thrown off by the public policy part. But yeah, well, recycling is probably a great example to use that. There's so much training and continued education in this recycling, but I could definitely answer, yes, there's yearly. You know, the good thing is you can use some of the recycling tonnage grant to pay for that. However, we're utilizing that to offset the,
Collection.
the dumping and curbside fees lower. So, but again, in full transparency, you can use that. So, in the job classifications, my job specifically, believe it or not, does not call for any mandatory training. But as you can see, this line is shared by myself, the administrative assistant, and the QPA. The QPA does have mandatory training. So again, I don't remember it off the top of my head, but it'll say something like, 15 CEUs over the course of 3 years.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Council President, are we going to vote line by line, or are we going to do page?
We're going to do, the previous page, we went through the whole page, and then I made a motion to do what the changes were on that whole page.
Right, so we're not doing line by line.
Well, we're going to discuss page 3, right? And if anybody makes a motion and it gets seconded, I'll put it into my book, and then I'll make a motion, and I'll read them out loud like I just did, right? And then we'll make a motion, like you said, no to the changes on page 2, correct?
Yep, but if I may, so I say no to changes, but there's some items there that are yes. So
Might be a
then
yes.
maybe we do have to go line by line if we're picking apart the budget
We're
like this.
taking the budget.
I don't understand what the motion was to change the page 2 to, eliminate minus 300 in office supplies, 700 in postage, 50 in books and subscriptions, 50 in travels and mileage stipend, and then the rest of the lines remain the same. So you said no, but the page still remains the same, other than.
Well, I might have
It passed.
wanted to vote yes for
So then
postage.
If that's how, if you have,
So we
then we should go
vote
back, okay.
line by
So I'm sorry,
line,
we have to go back.
since we're
That's all right.
picking it apart line
Then
by
we're
line.
fine, then that's how we'll do it. That's the way we've done in the past, I guess that's how we'll have to
Okay.
do it. All right, so we'll go back to page 2 and
So-
redo, right?
If I could just make a comment, Council President.
Yes,
I don't think we're picking it apart. I think
I didn't mean pick, I didn't,
Those are
I
my
have
words. I feel that
questions.
that's what we're doing.
you have questions.
I have questions.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're satisfied with all of this,
No,
anyone on the
no.
dais, that's great. but,
I was just
um,
explaining to Mr. Sears how I did it, and I thought it was okay, but now Mr. Sears is saying he may have agreed to some of our reductions or not agreed to a certain reduction, so he'd like to go line by line. And I believe Ms. Velez said the same thing.
Yeah.
So we're going to go back to the old style. We're going to go line by line, if that's okay with everybody, because I think that'll address Mr. Sears' comment, right?
Let's just go historically.
Yeah.
Historically,
We've gone line by line.
historically, we've gone line by line, except for the past 2 years, 23 and 22, 23 and 22, where Mr. Morgan wanted to do it this way. Okay?
My 4 years, we did it line by line.
I'm a personal line by line, because if Mr. Sears agrees with one thing, and then he doesn't agree with something else, he can particularly pick that out.
That-
And I think
that's fine. I
think that's the way it should,
I didn't
that's how
realize
I
that-
think it should be.
I'm glad Mr. Sears brought it up.
No, no,
I didn't
I'm just-
agree- I didn't even
But
think of that concept.
Again,
No,
that
that's
is-
fine. I
That's
mean,
That's why we're up here as a.
historically, it's line by line, and
So-
I'm okay.
So let's start. The first one we were going to do is the grant consultant, 4-01-20-100-170, keeping it at $32,400. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call?
Councilman Cassius.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes,
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Admin office supplies, 4-01-20-100-210. We have a motion to lower it by $300 to $2,700 recommended. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Cassius.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
no,
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Admin postage 4-01-20-100-220. There's a motion for reducing it by $700. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So do I have a second?
Second.
So it'll make it $13,300. Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
No.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Admin books and subscriptions 4-01-20-100-240. There's a motion to reduce it by $50 and making the line $25.
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Admin dues and conference 4-01-20-100-250. Requested is $1,200, recommended is $1,200. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Travel and mileage stipend 4-01-20-100-280. There's a motion to reduce it by $50 to $550. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Admin copy machine 4-01-20-100-290. The requested is $1,450. The recommended is $1,450. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Admin furniture and equipment 4-01-20-100-300. Requested is $1,500. Recommended is $1,500. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Admin advertisements 4-01-20-100-310. The requested is $500. Recommended is $500. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Training, page 3, 4-01-20-100-370. Discussion? Is everybody okay with it?
Yes.
Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. So I guess if it's okay with everybody, I'll introduce the line, and then if anybody has a motion they'd like to make it to reduce it or leave it the same, we'll go there. All right. Admin telephones, admin PD and emergency services building 4-01-20-100-470. It's supported by contract leasing at the town hall and the emergency services building. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to know why it went up $1,500. Is that a new contract or how was that?
It's the same amount, my guess is, again, by the time I figured this out, we maybe begun to reconcile the December billing, but it should be the same amount.
Oh, you think there's a line,
Yeah.
there's a month missing of payments?
Yeah.
And this year's contract is the same as last year's contract?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve it as is, the recommended and requested of $14,244. Anyone second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Admin miscellaneous 4-01-20-100-500. Requested is 600, recommended is 600. Any discussion?
Can we reduce that by $50? That's my request. That's my motion.
I'll second it. Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
No.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. All right, I don't need to do the zeros, correct, Mrs. Cassie?
You could do the, well, right now, like you're in the 100, so you go 2010, you have to
Like
do
790, 790 was a
Yeah.
placeholder, so I'm not gonna do 790.
No, well, 790, well, oh, you mean those? No.
Yeah, I don't need to do
I'm
790.
sorry, I'm looking at the count numbers.
Admin computer service, software, 4-01-20-100-810. Requested is 20,500. The recommended is 20,500.
I just have a question.
Sure.
The server for 2,600, is that a one-time expense or is that something we'll continue to see yearly?
It's our understanding that that's an annual expense on WCTV's part to televise all the meetings that take place in council chambers, so council zoning meetings, anything that's going on in here.
It covers all the different meetings, zoning and finance.
Planning.
Correct.
Is that for a web, cloud-based server rather than a
Live
physical?
stream?
No, it's a piece of equipment that they need to support it, and I believe that's the annual maintenance fee, if I remember how they explained it, or the annual.
Yeah, I don't know that it
maintenance for,
maintenance is-
software or hardware
All
combination.
right, it is an annual fee.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion on this item?
Is that the only addition? So,
Yes, the cost for admins and GoGov went up slightly.
oh, okay. So
That's a year by year. So when we're doing the budget, I always ask them for an updated quote. Sorry, Ms. Witkowski, an updated quote to make sure we're budgeted correctly.
okay.
So is the admins and GoGov 16.8 like last year, Mr. DeCarlo, or is it?
No, it's a little bit more.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the 20,500.
So moved.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yep.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Oman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Admin IT Services 4-01-20-103-200. Requested is 36,000, recommended is 36,000. Any discussion?
If I may,
Yes.
Mr. DeCarlo, so these computers,
Yes.
are we looking to update over expand of years to, not take one big brunt every,
Essentially, from my understanding, is we bought all new computers at once in 2018, which obviously was came at a high cost. I don't know what it was, but I know we purchased them all. The recommendation from our IT provider is to obviously not wait and do that again, and then we're spending a large amount at once. So last year, council approved, I think we were able to get 5. So the recommendation this year was to replace another 5 to 6, and that's why you see the addition. So again, just to clarify, last year, the way we did it is we funded the office supplies in each one of the departments for the computer. This year, we asked for all the computers to be under admin IT services. So just to clarify that, if we were anticipating, actually what we did, we could replace the 2 computers in the clerk's office. and we put it in the clerk's office supplies. So this year, instead of doing that, we put it all in admin IT. Again, that's just really just for organizational purposes, but it's the same amount. They're anticipating the expense to be about $2,100 each. So the extra money requested would be to purchase 5 to 6 new computers to keep us on a reasonable rotation, so we're not.
What is our total amount of computers we have for our staff, Mr. Carl?
Aha. You thought you were going to get me on that.
No,
I'm teasing.
I couldn't remember in
No, I'm
2018
teasing.
because I remember I was on council. It was my first year. We got hit with the big number.
If you just
So
give
it's
me
better to
1
rotate
second.
Oh, absolutely, but-
So it's not. such
It doesn't include the police department, so just let me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
While he's looking, may I ask you a question while he's? Mr. Carlo, isn't some of these based also on what the software grade is? Some are 10.1, they're being moved up to 11.0. And some of those computers can't handle the new apps or upgrades?
I can simply answer yes, but I love when the mayor answers the IT question.
Yeah.
If you have a better explanation to help me out with that, yes, but that is our concern. But we, yeah,
I guess, how many computers do we have for our staff?
there's 24.
24, and we bought
that-
6 last year, or we bought 5?
We think 5.
We have 19 more to upgrade.
Yes, but, it also comes with, try to do the machines that are getting smoked, like the clerk's office is doing, a lot of use on the computers, where, I don't want to call someone out for, indicating that they might not use the computer that much, but,
Yeah, it depends on the.
Yeah, there's
For a
35
part-time
hours.
position, perhaps.
like myself and, the clerk's office, we're on the computers all day long.
Yeah.
Where maybe, someone in DPW is not on there because they're outside working. So, we're trying to take that into consideration as well. So, 5 to
that's good
6
policy.
would be a good rotation. The other reason why we organize it in this fashion is we don't want to be hard fast on that. So if I ask for a computer in the clerk's office, we might make a decision that it's not going to go in the clerk's office, for example. So that's why we just put it in this line as opposed to separating it out in the other lines. But, long-winded way to say, yes, asking for 5 to 6 to keep on a reasonable rotation, that we don't need a lot of money all at once.
Can I just ask, what is the current useful life? Is it about 5 years?
About 5 years for business, yes.
So we'll have, after, if we do 6, we'll have 12
Yeah,
done.
5, give you 5 years worth, 6 would be 4 years, yeah,
So
right.
the schedule that you have, Mr. DiCarlo, would you be updating that to show currency of the computer and the cycle that we'll be doing? So something prospective for the next, X number of years.
Simple answer is yes. It's just the reports generated by our IT provider. That's all.
Okay.
So he updates it, maintains it, and the years and how new and this and that. It's a program that it has. I'm not the most eloquent when talking about IT stuff. Sorry.
Any other discussion on IT service?
Well, I know Councilman Sears
I'm
had.
sorry, Mr. Sears, you had a question?
No, he answered.
Oh, you did answer,
Well, Tom, I don't think you got maybe a full
The
answer.
software part.
Windows 10 end of life, I believe, is sometime later this year. Typically, once Microsoft drops support for an operating system, they will not put out security updates to it. And so we have to stay very vigilant with the computers to migrate them all to Windows 11 sooner than later. So, we agreed to spread it over the course of a few years to not burden the town with it all in 1 year. But we do have to be diligent in getting them upgraded to Windows 11.
Okay.
2 questions, please, if I may. Can we ask the AuthorNet, is that what?
Yeah.
Florida, yeah.
Yeah.
Can they put together a forward-looking schedule of, expected obsolescence and
Yes.
how quickly we're replacing them?
Mhm.
The other question, and this is to Mr. Cochran, excuse me, is this the right line it's ITC services and we're buying a capital. I know it's PC, not the biggest capital, but
I mean, my experience with this is, yes, it is, it's always ran through this line. I'm not really sure if it would be capital or not.
well, no, I wouldn't say it's I wouldn't want to make it I wouldn't want to bond it. I think it
Right.
should go through current, but my question is, should we break it out? IT services, when I look at this, it's AuthorNet, Exchange Online, Zoom, their monthly fees versus PCs, which I would consider, a more capital intensive item. So I guess my only question is, should we have another line to reflect that?
Okay, so if I'm understanding you right, you're saying you would want to create a new line to, the best way to say it would be split it up. In terms of the type of expense that's incurred.
Yes, I mean, I think it's, in my mind, it's a little cleaner and it'll be easier to follow going forward as we undertake this refresh.
I mean, it's something that could be done, obviously, I'd like to, confer with the mayor and administrator, but yeah, I mean, you could set up a new account if everyone is in agreement that's what they want, yes.
Well, my other question is the math dictates 6, but we're saying it's 5 or 6. So which one is it?
It depends how they come in at that final pricing.
Oh, the 2,100 is not a firm price?
No, the price of these change, month to month in IT. And the one thing I would like to add is the 2,100 each also includes their labor of, moving the apps off of the old machine. So it's about 50-50 for the computer itself, and then 50% for their labor to install the new computer, get things moved over. So that 2,100 is not just all hardware costs.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
Sure.
If I may, I mean, the only place it looks like it would make more sense would be to the office supplies.
Yeah, but then it's gonna skew that number.
Yeah.
If you put it there, then it's gonna skew that number in the future, right? Because all of a sudden when we stop buying, you're gonna have this huge decrease.
Again, I'm not looking to ruffle any feathers, but I see that as an administrative process, and that's how I'm choosing to organize it. And
What's that?
Keeping the purchasing of the computers in this line.
I
That's easier for me and my people.
because then it doesn't force that the department is guaranteed a computer.
Yes.
I agree with you. Been there, done that, Mr. Duke. I agree with you. That just makes total sense.
Thank you.
I knew exactly where it came from.
No, Mr. Carl, just to be clear, I wasn't asking that it be split and allocated to each of the departments. I was simply asking that it be pulled out of IT services and called admin computer purchases, not that it be allocated to the.
Again, it doesn't take much to make that concession. However, this is where I found it the most appropriate place to be, and I would respectfully request that where it remains.
Okay.
I'll motion for the full 36,000.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes?
Council President DeSena.
Yes.
Mike, before we flip pages, can I just ask a question kind of about the previous control in total?
Previous control.
Total.
Okay.
Yeah, you said that we could take from the control total if any one line item comes up short. And again, just you cut the office supplies by 300, postage by 700, books and subs by 50. Dues and conferences was the same, but that gets used every year. Travel and mileage got cut. Copy machine is contractual. Furniture and equipment is mostly contractual for the postage machine. Advertisements would be the only one, but last year was more of an anomaly.
Yeah, but we didn't cut that one.
No, that's what I'm saying, though. That's more of an anomaly, so it may all get used this year. Telephones is contracted, miscellaneous you cut, computer software stayed the same, and that's mostly contractual. So when we come up short for postage, what line item are you suggesting we would have money to?
I'm hoping that we could not have that discussion and we stay within budget.
Okay,
But there is a possibility.
There's always a possibility we come up short in a lot of items, Mr. Mayor. That's why we have to make transfers at the end of the year, because it does happen. It's not an unheard of situation, so I think we'll have to.
I'm just saying potentially we could run out of money in some of these line
I think
items
there's a potential.
earlier than we could do transfers, because transfers can't happen until November.
I don't believe that these minimal changes are gonna cause you to have that.
I hope you're right.
Okay, we're on page 4. Office of the Mayor.
So the other, excuse me, just to answer that question, one of the other things, we had a situation with the last list of bills, and I had questioned why a particular item was charged or why we split a dollar amount. And I believe the explanation was we didn't have money, it wasn't in the temp budget, and we booked it to another account that was close. I don't believe they're in the same control line, so we actually crossed control lines to book that until we make some further edits.
Correct.
And then reverse it back. So the precedent has been set to basically book anywhere in the expense ledger. Okay?
Yes.
So,
I would not agree to that.
I wasn't necessarily agreeing, I was
okay.
just acknowledging his statement.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That, again, respectfully, Mr. Councilman Ullman, that is not comparing apples to apples and oranges to orange.
the question was, if there's no money in this control line, what are we to do? And I gave an example of what we could do, which has been done as recently as the last set of bills. So
I think your example is incorrect, but I say that respectfully.
Okay.
You're not comparing the same thing.
I would just add quickly that if you do that with all the control line items going forward, we won't have an account to borrow from.
So can you educate us, and if we come up short, what's the game plan? I believe you said something like that at a previous meeting.
So the control line has a certain amount of money in it. It has a certain amount of account lines in it. Not all control lines have that. For example, one of the charges that Councilman Ullman is referring to is for the town calendar. It's in a control of it itself. There's no other control. There's no other account line within that control to take from. So what I needed to do, because we had a temporary budget, was find the most closely associated line that I could take it from, and that's why the money was essentially borrowed from the trust. I have to conduct township business. I have to do that. So it's not willy-nilly me finding something to charge to. We have to conduct township business. And last year, we did it very efficiently because the council allowed for us to have the buffer. Council President Morgan and I shared jovial moments where she said, there's 10%. And I said, I promise there's not 10%. Increase, knowing or thinking that the council is going to reduce it 10%. So as you could tell, a lot of these lines maybe are inflated by $1 or $2 or rounded up to the next dollar. But in most circumstances, like, the telephones, it's down to the dollar. So if I don't have a buffer there, transfers can't be requested until the first meeting in November. That's why I respectfully disagree. I understand what Mr. Ullman's saying, and he's not incorrect totally, but the example is, in my opinion, is not comparing, similar situations.
And do we have the capacity to amend the temporary budget? Mr. Carpenter,
What's the question, please?
do we have the ability to amend the temporary budget?
Well, you have the ability to go for a second temporary budget, which would bring it to 50%. But at the time that we were spending the money for the township calendars, we did not have that. So I could not over encumber a control line. That's why the money was borrowed there.
But my bigger question is, at the end of all of this, if we come up short towards the end of the year, where are we finding the money to conduct town business?
Well, if it's prior to transfers, we would have to request a special, emergency of fund appropriation through the council and the state.
So we would have to go to the state.
So basically, we're telling the state we can't budget accordingly.
I've been sarcastic enough. to know
I
that.
think that's, yeah.
But,
All right. Page 4. Office of the Mayor, 4-01-20-110-000. Mayor, salary and wages, 4-01-20-110-100. I don't know, do we need to write ourselves or can we discuss our own salaries?
I think we should do all salaries at the end.
Okay, so we're going to skip that one then. Okay. Mayor's office supplies, 0, subscription and books, 4-01-20-110-240. The request is 50 and the recommended is 50. Any discussion?
No motion to keep it the same.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes?
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Mayor, dues, meetings, and conferences, 4-01-20-110-250. Excuse me, requested is 2,100, recommended is 2,100. Any discussion?
I just, from my personal knowledge, how come the mayor's meeting varies so much?
I believe sometimes they don't bill it necessarily every month, so the billing from them might be up and down.
Okay.
Also, it's just not a monthly invoice.
Correct,
Could be a quarterly invoice or something.
Correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion on that line? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Mayor, miscellaneous, 4-01-20-110-500. Requested is 300, recommended is 300. Any discussion?
No.
No discussion?
I recommend that we cut it by $60.
So you'd like to make it $240?
No, that's 600, isn't it?
No, 300.
300.
You maybe look at it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think you're looking at the next line.
Sorry.
Do you?
No,
No change on this line from 500?
no.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes?
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Mayor, trophies, 4-01-20-110-790. The requested is 600, the recommended is 600. Any discussion?
I think we've seen a lot of success within our community. So the cheerleaders and the football team. So I think we should actively pursue trophies. I recommend we leave it at 600.
You mean banners, not trophies, right? We didn't give either one trophy.
No, I'm saying that's
Recognition.
Plaques, trophies.
recognitions,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'll agree with the 600 because the price of everything is like off the wall now.
And the acknowledgement for the children is wonderful, and adults.
Any other discussion? Do I have a motion?
Some of,
Second,
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
yes,
Councilman Oman,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Going to the next page, Township Council. We're going to skip salaries and wages for the council. So we're going to table that one. The next one is office supplies, council, 4-01, that is 0. Council subscription and books, 4-01-20-111-240. The requested is 150, the recommended is 150. Do any discussion?
I'll make a motion, reduce it half.
You'd like to make it $75?
This is for your League of Municipalities, I think.
Yeah,
No.
I read that book. So, I mean, if we spent $100 last,
Is that $20 subscription for everybody?
Yeah, it's like $20, $25 a head.
Last year was 25 a person.
So that's, about 25 and the mayor's, well, the mayor's comes out of his, right? So,
Correct.
all right, so we need 125 minimum in there.
I'll motion for the 125.
Was everybody okay with the 125? We reduce it by $25 so it's covering its cost? I'll second that.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
No.
Councilman Sears,
yes,
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Council dues, meetings, and conferences, 4-01-20-111-250. The requested is 4,000. The recommended is 4,000. Any discussion?
Yes. Do we know what the 521 MLK 23 expenses related to?
Do you know what page that is on
I'm
the?
sorry, yeah, on page 22 of the detail. It's the second line down for $805.
The 521 MLK 23?
Yes.
Or something for the League of Municipalities.
What, I'm sorry, what page?
Page 22 of the transaction audit trail, and it's the second line down. It's a check 42-342. It's 521 MLK 23 for $805 at the League of Municipalities.
That might be your dues. I don't know why it's written in like that, but that may be the dues. Because you have an annual dues to belong to the League of Municipality.
Which is not the 25.
No, that's the book. That's the magazine. I think this is your dues. I have it up in my office. It's gonna be for April, so I held off until we have more money in there. I don't know why it's coded like that, though.
So that's the council's dues for the
To belong to-
2023?
Yeah, to belong to the League of Municipalities. And this way gives you all the access to everything and anything, help. Anything.
Do we want to,
Can we keep it the same as 2023 and reduce it back to 3,000 since we only spent 2,007? We'd like to make a motion to reduce it by 1,000.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
The only thing I can say is that there was money in there to go to the conference, and we had some people back out at the last minute. And that's why it's,
I know, but we've never spent more than 2,000.
well, haven't had more than one or two people go.
Well, last year we had a bunch of people, if you look.
But people did not go. Some
Yeah, but we didn't get a credit for it. We still paid for it.
Should have been credited.
No, it didn't.
No, Ms. Witkowski is accurate.
On page
We
22,
were-
it shows as a credit, Mr. Paul?
Well,
'Cause I
I'll
don't
answer
see
it
it.
this way. We made sure that everyone was well aware that what the cancellation date was, right, Ms. Witkowski? And if they were going to cancel, there was a drop dead date that we were unable to get our money back. So I believe that is the explanation why more money wasn't expended. Given the impression, I understand why you have the impression that, only 2,000 was used. So, and again, it's not an argument that you definitely need
So if the other
4,000.
3 people would have went, it would have added roughly another $1,000 to it. So
At least,
Yeah.
can we make it, I'm okay with
3,500?
3,200, 3,500?
35,
How about 3,400, Mr. Velez?
3450 if you want.
34, I'm okay with 34.
What's another 100? 35,
35, all right, I'll make
because I
a,
expect to see you there this year.
I will be there.
Okay, so we're gonna need the money for you.
Yeah, I'll make a motion for $3,500.
didn't Councilwoman Velez just?
I'm sorry, Mrs. Velez, and I'll
Motion
second,
35.
I'll second it.
Thank you. You ready?
Roll call, I'm sorry. I was putting it in the book.
That's okay. Councilman Cassio?
No.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
No.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes,
Council President DeSena?
Yes. The next few lines are just holdovers from years ago. We'll go to page 6. Miscellaneous Council 4-01-20-111-500. The requested is 200, the recommended is 200. Any discussion?
I mean, I don't know what we've spent it on previously, but we've never spent, we go back to 2020. So we get to 200 and 219. So,
Last year we spent 0.
I mean, take it down 100.
I'm okay with taking it down 100.
I motion to reduce it by 100.
If I may, I would ask that you leave it only because we take out a my line item for flowers and things like that to send to people who have passed away, either township employees or direct members of their families. But I would like yours as a little buffer since we always send it from mayor and council. And we already sent one this year for a person who passed away already. So I would just ask that you leave it as a buffer if for nothing else but that reason.
I'll amend my motion then. It wasn't seconded, was it?
No.
So to leave it at the requested 200.
I'll second that.
You are to remove your motion.
Yeah, and then you motion to keep it at the requested. I'll second it. Roll call.
Councilman Cassio?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilman Oman?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
yes,
Council President DeSena?
Yes. Council, trophies and plaques, 4-01-20-111-790. Requested is 600, recommended is 600. Any discussion?
my only comment is we should use this as a council. We need to be more proactive in recognizing members of our community.
If we're going to do banners, you need to add an extra 200 to this line item if we're going to be doing banners.
Do we have to change the description to include banners? Because right now it says trophies and
I think
plaques.
it's, I think it's,
Understood?
yeah, you don't
It's not
want
that
it.
tight.
Yeah, it's-
Okay.
yeah, I'm okay with leaving it as is.
And I recommend the council,
We should do more like what we just did with the cheerleaders.
Yes, let's work
It's
to
important that we
acknowledge.
acknowledge
Correct.
our youth and our seniors and whoever it may be.
I'll motion to, you said to,
To
I-
add an
I-
extra, because you're
Oh, I
looking
left,
at.
I made a motion to keep it at 600.
Well,
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
You'll second? Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No. It's
Councilman
good.
Ullman,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
no,
Council President DeSena.
Yes.
I make a motion to reduce it by $50 to $550.
That is not going to cover cost of banners.
one banner alone,
Is-
3x5 is $60. No, I'm sorry,
Mm.
65 on the cheap end
Yeah,
with minimal colors.
and you're looking at almost 285
How much
for
was
some of
this
the
one?
big banners we're putting up.
Banners are not,
Yeah,
plus the graphic artwork that goes with them.
that's why I figured we're going to do banners.
I hear you. Just,
I mean,
that's expensive.
we're not benefiting the.
280 That was 285?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not,
they're not cheap. The graphics alone are,
just having somebody do the artwork is,
I mean, what we
All right,
give
let's,
to the, what we give to the community on that, and you saw all the girls that were here, they were like,
girls and boys.
and boys, yes, they were, you know, like,
I apologize for not being here. I was at basketball and I lost by 1 point.
Oh,
So I would have rather been here. No, I can't. We lost 16-15 after back and forth, you know.
That's awkward.
Yeah,
that's almost as bad as the
yeah,
buzzer shot in the
exactly.
road.
In Manasquan, yeah. So, Mr. Ullman has made a motion to reduce it to 550. Do I have a second? Okay.
I'll motion Mr. Councilman Sears to increase it by 200.
So you want to make it 800?
Correct. Because we're very much aware of the cost of banners and artwork.
How about
design.
700?
And we're already
That's
in the hole with
that's
this
two
one.
banners.
Yeah.
I'm saying 700.
700's fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Mr. Who's going to take credit for the motion?
Ms. Velez,
Oh, okay.
unless she doesn't want.
No, that's fine. But
I'll
somebody-
second it.
Okay.
Roll call.
Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes,
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Office of the Township Clerk. We're going to skip items 1 and 2. Clerk, extra council meetings, 4-01.
For a salary,
What's that?
support of salary.
But isn't that a set number? Or it would vary if you
It
didn't?
varies.
Okay, so we'll have to skip 110, 120, and 130 will be tabled.
130, okay.
Township Clerk, other expense, Township Clerk, office supplies.
Can I just ask a clarifying question, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Why are we skipping over extra council meetings but not skipping over stipends? It's all, we did not skip over stipends, but we're going to skip over
Okay.
extra council meetings. It's even though it's,
Is that a stipend?
everything's
I-
paid through payroll if you're an employee. So a stipend goes through payroll, just like the extra council meetings.
Okay, then let's
Sorry,
go,
my fault.
let's go back to clerk, extra council meetings, 4-01-20-120-130. The requested is 2,100, the recommended is 2,100. Discussion. So that allows for 4 meetings to be conducted by the assistant clerk.
are we anticipating extra meetings? Or
Tonight is one of them.
just these are the ones we're referencing? Okay.
So Perhaps I don't understand.
It allows for training of the assistant clerk to run a meeting in the
Just to keep up
unfortunate
on it.
absence of our clerk. So it's
One per
for-
quarter.
So even if,
Oh, I
if, to either accompany Ms. Witkowski to get training. So it would be the time that she'd be spending doing that.
So is this a stipend for the assistant clerk or the
I
clerk?
don't, again, I don't know if I should get hung up on the words, but it's allowing for the training of those meetings. So we're hoping to do it fun, because as you can tell, it's a perishable, what's the word I'm looking for? Perishable,
I'm not sure.
ability.
It's
You know what I mean?
necessary.
Yeah. If you don't run a meeting in a while, you're going to forget how to do it. So, the
Okay.
importance of running the meeting. So it allows for 4 training sessions throughout the year, which would be at $125 each.
And last year, did we not do 4? Is that why we did?
We
less?
We didn't do any.
We didn't do any.
We spent $900.
That was for the regular clerk to do extra meetings.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay, that's.
Oh, so on top, so that's why we're adding the six.
Correct.
I
5,
got- Okay,
yeah.
all right.
I'm sorry, it's 150 a meeting. I apologize.
I'm okay with leaving it at 1,500 if everybody's okay with that. I'll make a motion for the 1,500.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
I'm sorry, Mike. Can I just, Mr. DeCarlo or
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Kowski? The line, if there are extra council meetings above a certain number, the clerk receives a
Yes.
further payment.
It's above 22. I believe it's above 22. They
Yeah,
get
and
an additional amount.
Yeah,
per
and it's
meeting.
also a not to exceed, I believe. Right.
So
then-
she didn't, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, but in addition, you're also providing for a training for the assistant clerk in that.
Correct.
Yes, but well, I don't want to say it's a gamble. I'm accounting for the fact that the whole 1,500 may be utilized by the township clerk. Therefore, that's why I'm asking for the 600 in addition, preparing for, lack of better terms, worst case scenario, and we have to use the whole 1,500. This extra 600 would allow for the 4 training sessions of the assistant clerk. That way we have someone to run the meetings if, in the absence of the clerk.
Okay. I made a motion to keep it at 1,500. I believe Ms.
second.
Velez seconded it. Excuse me.
Seconded.
Seconded.
I told you.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Omen,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes,
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Township Clerk Office Supplies, 4-01-20-120-210. Request is 1,900, recommended is 1,900. Any discussion?
Just based on the run rate, I would ask that we back off $200.
So your motion is to make it 1,700?
That is correct.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Question?
Yes, Mr. Sears?
Thank you. We are having the clerk's office start registering the tree companies, and we actually ran out of, if I'm correct, the stickers for the tree companies, and we had to put a plastic tape over 2023 to make it 2024. So she's going to be needing, the clerk's office is going to be needing extra money to cover those.
Well, shouldn't the registration fee for the tree companies?
Yeah.
handle that?
And now,
No, I'm saying, but the cost, shouldn't that be included in the fee for the registration of the tree company?
yeah, but she still has to buy them.
And that comes in a
And-
different line.
And we're
I'm saying that's
also,
a different one.
and we're also going to need she's going to be registering the overnight parking permits for the first responders.
Yes.
So I would say, don't cut her too much on that, please. She's taking up that extra duty on.
Absolutely. So the motion and by Mr. Ullman to make it 1,700 and seconded by Mr. Cassio. Any further discussion? Roll call?
Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Township Clerk, Asset Inventory, 4-01-20-120-220. Any discussion?
Yes. I'll make a motion to discuss.
Sure.
So this is an inventory that we have an outside vendor do.
Mhm.
It is a contracted rate.
Well, it's a proposal I get every year.
It's a proposal.
Yeah.
And is it down 600 because they did most of it last year?
No, because it just came in lower and I double checked, triple checked, and he said that was the price.
Okay.
So I don't argue those prices.
No,
No.
I hear you. I hear you. That's why I'm just asking why
Yeah.
it's slower. So that's,
Any further discussion on that?
And this, inventories, items in excess of $500?
This is the comment we got years ago because we weren't doing it and now we're doing it, correct, Mr. Lucas? So this is technically, this should have a note in it that it's a contracted proposal, right? The 3,000?
Mr. DeCarlo, could we consider that, Mr. Corcoran?
What are we considering?
Like in a lot of your other spots, you had, contractual,
Yeah, I mean, again, I often put those there if it's something out of the ordinary or to remind me.
Okay. It would just help us in the future councils if we could add that note.
Yeah.
I don't know who adds that, Mr. Corcoran or Mr. DeCarlo, it would help.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
I'd like to make a motion to accept the requested.
So moved.
Roll call?
Councilman Cassio,
yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Councilman DeSena.
Yes. Township Clerk's prescription and books, 4-01-20-120-240. Requested is 250, recommended is 250. Do you have any discussion?
Yes. So these are the books that you get every other year, right?
Yes, and I didn't get it last year.
Yes, I can see this.
Sorry.
So I'm just checking.
Title book.
So that's why we had 0 last year because we didn't get it. So we're getting,
It's every other year she needs the subscription.
and that follows
That's
the
the pattern.
budget. Yeah. Any other discussion on that? I'd make a motion to accept the recommended of 250.
So moved.
So moved. Okay. Roll call?
Councilman Cassio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Township Clerk, dues, meetings, and conferences, 4-01-20-120-250. Requested is 2,200, recommended is 2,200. Do you have any discussion?
That's just, my only question is, why the jump?
Just, I budgeted for fees to go up. You don't know a year in advance, sometimes in the fall and the spring is coming. I don't have my paperwork in front of me either. Sorry.
Do you anticipate that much of an increase?
That's a big jump.
Like I said, I just booked my stuff for the spring conference. I don't have anything with me though, how much it is.
again, I
Sorry, I have to get back to you.
faith in Ms. Wachowski's, budgeting. She prepared this as department head, chose to support her. It's utilized by that office. I would respectfully request you to vote yes to the request. We did in supporting the other departments, dues, meetings, and conference lines, which is greatly appreciated. That I know that you did. I appreciate that.
This is also for local meetings and Cornelia also being associated member in this as well. I can't give you an exact number at the moment because I don't remember what I have upstairs. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can get back to you with it.
You want to table it? Okay?
Yeah, I'd like to cut it 200, so. I know it's not a huge cut, but it's, just looking out the past history. So it's a big jump for me, so.
I'll second.
You'll second that, Mrs. Moss? Motion is to reduce it to $2,000 by Mr. Cassio, second by Ms. Velez. Roll call?
Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Oman,
Yes. Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
and Council President DeSena.
Yes. Township Clerk, Office Equipment Repair, 4-01-20-120-270. Requested is $450, recommended is $450.
Council President, this is an example where we had the 2 computers purchased last year.
Oh, that's why it was so high.
Yes.
Okay. Anybody have any discussion on this? Did that department receive those computers, Mr. DeCarlo?
Yes.
Okay.
Last year, they were estimated 2,500 apiece.
Oh, wow.
So that number actually got better this year. They asked me to purchase.
For the clerk.
Yes, well, 2 of them for the first one.
Thank you. I'd like to make, yes, Mr. Ullman.
Is the annual maintenance agreement part of that, or is that a different line or a different system?
For the computers, you mean? No,
Yeah.
I think I
There's-
think there is something. Ms. Witkowski, isn't there something you paid for that we use
This
a
one.
little bit out of your line?
This one.
That-
It's for the court recording system. There's part out of us, part out of court, and part of planning and zoning board. We split the bill.
Yeah.
So this 450 is a third of the bill?
Yeah.
So it's for the recording system.
Yeah, to keep maintenance on this.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the recommended of 450. Do you have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Township Clerk mileage stipend, 4-01-20-120-280. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to make them uniform. I don't know, what did we decide on the last one?
Minus 100.
We took 100 off.
Same thing for this one.
I'm sorry, 50, I'm sorry, 50. Original was 50, it was 100, and then we made it 550.
So on my motion is to make them the same, make it 550.
So we have a motion for 550. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Cassio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Oman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Township Clerk copier fees, 4-01-20-120-300. Requested is 1,500, recommended is 1,500. Any discussion? Is this a contractual amount, Mr. DeCarlo?
I believe it is, again, I have to look at the order trail to see what that contract amount is, but again, we know that the amount of dosage sheet coming from the clerk's office is significant.
Do we know if the contract went up because the 2023 is the exact amount?
I would ask Mr. Witkowski if she knows that answer.
I don't think there's an increase in that contract, but I'm not 100% sure.
So it was 107,
Oh, and this might also be,
25 a month
sorry,
times 12. It's 1287, which is what we paid.
You know, if you were to table it, I can get more specifics. I just, again, I'd be concerned with budget for 1287 if it did go up this year, but I do not know that answer.
Is everybody okay tabling that until Mr. DeCarlo provides us the invoice?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Or can we, okay.
Mr. DeCarlo, is your microphone on, Mr. DeCarlo? Okay, you
It
need
is
to.
now.
Oh, just now.
You need to talk
I
into
reserve
it.
the right to lie about the microphone only, only the microphone. So, Mr. Skowski, I was just, you were pretty good at getting quotes for everything. Do you
Oh, I did.
remember if you got?
This is I think a 4 or 5 year contract. And I don't remember if it was an increase as it went. I don't.
Okay, we'll look into it.
All right, I have it tabled on the, okay. Township Clerk Advertisements Public Notice 4-01-20-120-310. Requested amount is $3,000, recommended amount is $3,000.
Just
It's a big jump
explanation.
from
Yeah.
2023, Mr. Kowski.
And as I say every year, advertisements is all your legal notices. If we do anything with the master plan, anything with the master plan, anything with zoning ordinances have to be published in full. So you can go from a $35 ad, $40 ad to a $250, $300 ad. So I always ask to leave this in here because I don't know what you people are gonna do. I don't know where we're gonna go. So I need to have that money there because it's not cheap.
And the rates are up.
Yeah, the rates are up, and I also, I notarize all of the affidavits too, which saves you at least $30 per ad. So I respectfully ask if you could just kind of leave that in. I've also reduced it since last year.
Yeah, this is definitely a reduction.
No, nobody, just, I
But
think it was
that's why
just,
that's there.
okay.
And
It's a moving target.
It's almost,
When
what,
we,
16, 17?
if we move ahead with the reassessment, that'll be,
You
we'll
know,
need to
that might
advertise.
even fall into that as well.
Yeah,
right?
we may need to advertise on that.
Yeah.
So.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommended of 3,000.
I'll
Ms. Bellagio,
second that.
second.
Mhm.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes,
Council President DeSena.
Yes.
Thank you.
Township Clerk Training 4-01-20-120-370, 750 requested, 750 recommended. We had none last year, and any specific training, Ms. Kowski, or is it just?
Anything. There could be anything coming up. I try to do things during the conference and the league, but in case something extra came up that I needed to do or something changes rapidly that I need to go to a class, that's the reason why it's there.
It's also shared by your assistant,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
So that's for the two of you.
Yes?
Do you have to maintain, I don't know what they're called in clerk?
CEUs? Yes. That and registrar.
Right, or so
That's
that,
another page.
yeah, that was one thing I
Another
wanted to clarify, Mr. Kowski, is which, you wear many hats. So which training comes out of this line? 'Cause you
This would
got-
be clerk.
What is it?
Clerk,
It's just that,
just clerk, not the registrar.
Okay.
So, if I could ask, as we finish this year's budget and think about next year's budget, if we could have a training plan to support the ask, understanding that there are certainly there may be training opportunities that come up sort of ad hoc, but if, a particular function has to do so many continuing education units, if we could have a clearer idea.
I think we could do that, yes. One thing I'll say also is training, like everything else, has gone up significantly the past couple of years.
All right, any other discussion on training? Clerk?
No?
Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll motion for the 750.
No motion for 750, I'll second that. Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
yes,
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Township Clerk Code Publication 4-01-20, -120-460. Requested is 7,000, recommended is 7,000.
Same as the advertisements.
Does it need to be that big of a
That's-
jump?
Can we lower it to 5,000?
I lowered it from 2022 to 23. What happens is, again, depending on what you do with master plan or anything, all those ordinances have to go into the code book and it gets recodified.
Mr. Corcoran, can we finance some of those code book codification changes in the, I know there was the $86,000 proposal could have been broken up into 5 years as per your response. Can we include the E-code changes into that financing plan? This way we share, we break down the cost instead of dumping it all into Ms. Wachowski's budget.
For the code publication.
Mr. Corcoran, hold on one second. I just
Sure.
wanted to clarify that was the response that I gave the council today. That was from our financial advisor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was
Yeah,
from
not
Mr. Corcoran.
So I actually was able to review with Mr. Baris what is allowed to be deferred through DCA. And that wasn't one of them on there. So, we were talking about the reassessment, the revaluation. The master plan actually was specifically in there. So the answer to that I just know because we went over it today. More than welcome to speak to Mr. Corcoran about it. I just wanted to clarify where that
We could
information
not
came from.
include the code changes in the 5-year financing plan, or we could?
No, you cannot.
We cannot.
And Mr. Corcoran, again, if you have anything to expand on that, you surely can. I just wanted to clarify for the council where the information came from, because you probably would have been confused because you weren't.
I'm sorry. I thought it came from Mr.
No, that's okay. No, I remember talking to you about it, but yeah, no, I'm fine with what you just said.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good job, Mr. DeCarlo.
Well played.
Only thing I might add to that is the master plan is a professional service, whereas this is just an advertisement. So that might be a distinct difference also.
No, this is for the E-code. This is the E-code.
Oh, well,
This is the
okay,
E-code.
E-code also.
don't
Yeah,
enhance
there
it.
might be a difference.
Every ordinance gets put into the
Yes,
E-code and then
I
they
stand corrected.
incorporate it. There's a maintenance fee that goes along with
Correct.
this every
Mhm.
year.
And that's why I was wondering if we make changes in the master plan, it could be included in the master
Sure,
plan
sure.
changes.
But it's still got to go in the code.
Yeah, but it would be charged to the master plan 5-year breakout.
So the annual maintenance is $1,200.
Mhm.
There's a supplement 13 that was either 2,100 or 1,800.
460.
Page 32
Thank you.
on the detail. So it looks like it was,
Go on. Yeah, it was one for 21.95. What? Okay, wait a minute. And then this is 1831. I don't understand this either. I'm sorry.
page 32.
I'm sorry, I can't follow all these different things either. My apologies. I have to get back to you and let you know what I put in my purchase orders.
Well, my guess is that it is $11.95 for the
Definitely.
maintenance and $18.38 for the supplement, which is the 2105 less the 267. That sounds about right. So, I mean, is the supplement, is that additional maintenance based on activity or volume, or is it a flat fee?
The flat fee. The maintenance is a flat fee. The supplements are when I send the codes up and then they send back hard copies for these 12 books that I have out there that get supplemented. Plus it goes up on the website. It maintains, it's their maintenance of keeping it online. They make sure everything is in line with legal and laws and all that before they even post it. Anything that's not comes back and has to be reviewed. If you've been lucky, they haven't.
Mr. Corcoran, I don't know if you know the answer to this, or maybe Mr. DeCarlo does. Do we have a voided check fee from the bank?
I'm sorry, do we have a what?
A voided check fee from the bank?
We do not.
We do.
No, we don't.
They don't charge us any fees as part of our,
Checking account.
Yeah, our checking.
I just wanted to make sure, because
Yeah.
Oh, I understand.
Same quite.
No, and just
if we had Bank of
keep in
America,
mind,
we'd have a lot of money.
yeah, no, just keep in mind too, there's two different types of void checks too. These void checks are really just in-house entries and a lot of these, any items that have an asterisk are not really transactions. They're not affecting the balance. But if we have to actually void a check that we've issued already, there's no fee for that. Or if we have to put a stop payment on, there's no fee for that as well.
While we're on the topic, because it has come up a couple times, and it's a very good question. Why does there appear to give the appearance of so many voids? Can you give us an example of why that happened?
I really don't know because, Mark, to be honest, because I tend to see that afterwards as I'm running reports. I could check with the person that's doing the posting for that. Why there's so many of them? Because there shouldn't be, really, to be honest with you.
All right, I'll follow up for council.
Yeah.
Tomorrow. It's a very good question.
So Mr. Quirker, what you're saying is the check physically gets printed with that number, but then it gets destroyed in a shredder. Because it's
Yes.
showing a check number, so we are wasting all those checks.
Yeah, you're right. We are. I mean, there's no charge for it, obviously, but you're right.
Yeah, but we're still shredding hundreds of checks.
Well, it's better than the check going there and getting cash for the amount.
Right. No, you're right. And you're right and it is kind of wasteful to do that, but unfortunately things like that do happen. And just the,
I'm just glad we don't have a voided check fee. That's
No,
right. No. And like I said, when you see all these items, these are not checks that were never sent out. They're just shredded. They were put in a system, and the person that did the posting realized that was a mistake, and that's why you're seeing those asterisks.
all right.
If I could provide an example, so for Town Day, if we have a vendor that, say, balloon person, and they send us their PO, everything is all done, then I was handed a check, but let's say that person cancels last minute, they're ill or whatever it was, especially during post-COVID, then I would just give it back to,
That makes sense.
and then that check was destroyed, so it would show up in that sense. So that's my experience with void checks on that end.
They were only like, oh.
No, because then we wouldn't have vendors. Everybody showed up to events looking for face paint, and there's no face paint.
I'd like to reduce this amount. I know Ms. Witkowski's
There's still some ordinances in here I do not believe
have been posted.
yeah, and have been billed for either.
Oh,
That's what I'm just looking at right now, the new laws from 23, the back end of 23. I can get back to you with a better total if you want.
is everybody okay tabling this item until we have more information? Is that okay?
Thank you.
Motion flag it.
Thank you.
I'll table it.
I'm gonna get you more.
All right, Township Clerk Printing, 4-0.
Mike, on your question of the cost of the voided check, remember, there may not be a cost associated with that, but there is a cost in terms of time and effort to enter these.
To
and
process the void.
process.
Absolutely, yes.
So it's not without cost, it's just not a direct cost.
You are absolutely correct. Township Clerk Dash Printing, 4-01-20-120-470. Requested is 900, recommended is 900. Any discussion? Any reason we blew this out of the water last year, Ms. Witkowski, or you?
I'm looking at Scott. This is where we got our decals.
Decals
Our
and tree
decals, and
decals
we had
and
no
vendor
idea
decals.
how the tree vendors were gonna take off, and they took off. And this year, like I said, I'm trying to find a balance to put extra money in to get. We've got,
But where is those tree registration money going to?
goes into my
Goes
office
into
records
revenue.
after that. It's-
What's that? Does it go into general fund, or where does it go, Mr. DeVoe?
Well, if it's on the anticipated revenue side, then it would go towards that. Otherwise, it would go into Myrna, which is our unanticipated revenue account. But, I'd have to look at our revenue because the fees are kind of categorized generally, not individually. So, again, I don't know what specific account it goes into. I'd have to ask our tax collector. She's the central cashier. But just a note to the council, no, not even individual sub-account lines are allowed to be over encumbered without my permission. And I specifically gave permission to the clerk's office to do that on this line because we had sufficient funding in the overall control account.
Okay.
Is this the state of Indiana
Where?
where we get our decals?
No.
Department of
it's different.
Corrections Bureau?
Right, it's Department of Corrections in New Jersey.
Okay,
I don't know what the IND is. Maybe it's incorporated. I don't even know the IND is.
okay.
But DevCorp.
They made the labels for us?
Yeah, we do everything to get a good price for them.
Through a corrections facility?
It's not for the license plates, so they gotta do something.
Our taxpayer dollars.
Work.
Any other discussion on this line?
So we're gonna table this. Oh, no, it's.
No, that was the printing. This is, no, this is printing.
Yeah, printing, right?
Mr. Cascio, yeah.
I was gonna take it down 100, but we'll just leave it at 9.
You make a motion to leave it?
Leave it at 9,
Do I have a second?
because again, we don't know where we're getting the stuff from.
Do I have a second on this, to leave it at 900?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes, that's fine. Township Clerk miscellaneous, 4-01-20-120-500. 150 requested, 150 recommended. I make a motion to leave it, as we did for the other miscellaneous.
So moved.
Roll call? So I'll second it, I'm sorry.
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Is everybody okay if we take a 5-minute break? And are we gonna?
I was just going to ask, so I second that.
I saw 9 o'clock, and I said, we'll take a break, and if everybody will go to like the 9:30 tonight, if that's okay?
Okay.
We've got to get like 10, 12 pages done. I think that's a good start into the 66, right? So
Okay.
is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
We'll
Yes.
set 9:30 as our, we'll get to the wherever page we're closest to at that time.
Okay.
So let's take a 5-minute recess. I'll let Ricky know.
5 minutes, Steve.
Elections,
God, still me.
we're going to skip salaries and wages. We're going to go to ballots. Election ballots, 4-01-20-121-230. Requested is 11,500. Recommended is 11,500. It's going to be a big year, right? Because you have two elections. You have
Presidential,
Yeah.
yep.
I'll make a motion to leave it as the requested and recommended.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
No.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Elections. Yes.
Mr. DeSena, just one quick question for Sue on the balance. So that's for a primary
Yeah, county does everything. It's the
Primary,
mailing, it's the printing,
right.
it's the,
and
you name
the
it. it's-
general? Just
But we have to pay for
those
it.
two.
We have to pay for it.
Yeah, they send us a
It goes
bill.
out- It goes out for primary and it's what primary is going to catapult into the general.
Right, okay.
So it's not two separate, it's one big and everything goes out at once. Mailing, ballots, everything.
Okay.
And we have to participate?
Yes. I don't have a choice. Sorry.
Sure.
Get on the,
We have to.
get on the
If I don't
docket with
participate,
Colorado and,
Nobody runs.
Elections miscellaneous, 4-01-20-121-500, 650 requested, 650 recommended. Is this for
Meals.
meals?
For what?
fine with the,
Oh, meals.
make a motion for the amount.
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Okay, going to finance. We're going to skip up until finance treasurer, office supplies. It's in the middle of page, it's at the second line up from page 9, from the bottom, second line up from the bottom. Finance treasurer office supplies, 4-01-20-130-210, 400 recommended, 400 requested, 400 recommended. Any discussion?
I think they've come down quite a bit, so I've motioned to keep it 400.
How did we spend exactly 400 last year?
They're the finance office.
Amazon.
What's that?
Amazon.
Finance.
Amazon.
Take it down to 350, they only spent 350 next year.
Everything's more expensive, don't forget.
I'll make a motion to leave it at 400.
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
No.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Flipping the page to page 10. Finance treasurer dues, meetings, and conferences, 4-01-20-130-250, 1,200 requested, 1,200 recommended. This line is used by the CFO, QPA, and the purchasing department.
Make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
May I ask?
We have discussion.
Is Mr. Corcoran, if he goes, he would be charged here? Is that
Yes, goes to
The league.
the league, yes.
And just one other question. What is TCTA?
Tax collectors.
Association.
Association.
Okay, thank you.
Double tax.
That's my only question.
We have a motion by Mr. Sears to leave it at 1,200, right? Mr. Sears?
Yes, Council President.
Do I have a second?
That was, I second.
I'm sorry. Roll call?
Councilman Casio.
No.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilman Omen.
No.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
No. Any more discussion on this line?
Just want to make a motion to reduce it by 200, to an even thousand.
You want to make a motion to reduce it to $1,000?
Yes.
If I may, Council President, respectfully, if I may,
Sure.
the other dues, means and conference lines, I believe, were not reduced. This line is utilized by 3 different entities, so I respectfully ask you not to make an equity issue and leave this at the requested amount. As you can see, we use
Well,
more.
we did reduce the township clerk dues, meetings, and conferences also by 200, Mr. DiCarlo.
That was used by one person. This is used, but potentially more than 2 people. Just a request.
The council was reduced also by 500, so we did reduce the other dues, meetings, and conferences for all the other departments also.
Well, again, I don't want to argue that the council was increased by 500, but reduced by the request, not by 500. So last year was 3,000, you guys made 3,500, and we're requesting 4,000. I'm just asking for there to be fairness and equity across the line.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I think you have
On my microphone.
Oh. I'm getting the text now.
Mr. DiCarlo?
Yes.
Is everybody's microphone back on? Excuse me, Mr. Ullman. Everybody's microphone's back on? Thank you. Yes, Mr. Ullman.
On the top of page 38 in the detail,
Yes.
there is a conference program with the hotel and an individual. And then there's another hotel, but there's not a second individual. Do you know where that second individual?
So finance treasurer dues meetings. I'm sorry, I just got my eyes on it. If you don't mind repeating
So-
yourself.
If you read it down, it is, the conference fee line, and then there's an individual that's named. I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's associated with that. And then there's another conference line, but there's no individual noted. Do you know who that was for and where their fee may have been charged to?
So the person you're referring to starts with a D in that line? Is that what you're talking about? I'm
But did I
totally
mention a
confused.
name, he's
Yes.
referencing that. line.
Yes, no.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
assuming-
that's for the cost of attending. That's not for the hotel.
That's for the badge, correct?
Yeah.
That's for your badge to enter the conference, Mr. Ullman.
Okay. Maybe then
I mean, based on what I'm saying, Mike, but this is just a guess, I would think that this was the tax collector. Because she may have stayed 2 nights or more than 1 night. But again, just a guess.
Okay. Would her fee have been picked up somewhere else? Possibly?
Maybe
No, but
it's,
people do stay different amount of nights.
yeah,
Some
but
people stay 1, some stay 2.
her fee, like I said, maybe it's in one of her other training or something like that, if she chalked it up to education.
Okay. No other questions?
So, Mr. Katz, you made a motion for 1,000?
Yeah, reduced by 200.
Anybody second that motion? Seeing no one else seconding that, I'll make a motion to make it $1,100. Anybody like to second that?
I'll second it.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
No.
Councilman Ullman,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
No.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Finance, treasurer, furniture, and equipment, 401-20-130-300. Requested is 200, recommended is 200. It was higher last year because the computer was in there, correct, Mr.?
Yes,
Carlos?
please disregard that note. That's my fault.
Yeah, no, but it was good because it was easy to figure out why it was so much
Yeah.
different.
No, the mayor noted for me to take it out.
It's fine.
Either said, I'm not doing it, or I forgot.
I'll make a motion
My
to
apologies.
accept the recommended.
So moved.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Omen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Finance, treasurer, payroll service, 4-01-20-130-320. Requested is 18,500, recommended is 18,500. Any discussion? Is this a contractual amount, Mr. DeCarlo?
Yes, it's not exact. If you guys remember, I believe it was the new council that approved the resolution for the, for Prime Point. We do offset this because in the summer, there's an influx of counselors for that job. And that's why in the summer, there's a little bit of an increased fee for our payroll because there's more people to pay.
So shouldn't that be picked up in the cost of the camp?
It is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's actually.
It is offset then, you're saying?
Yes, it is offset. So it's a little bit more. And again, if the next question is going to be why we only spent 14,508, I guarantee it's because by the time I printed this,
It was missing a.
yeah, it was missing.
Any other discussion on this item?
And we competitively bid for these services?
Yeah, if you remember, we searched for a company that could do A, B, C, and D, and this was the only company that could do A, B, C, and D. Other companies could do A and D, A and B, but yes, we did contract.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for the 18.5. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Omen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Finance, treasurer, training, 4-01-20-130-370. Requested is 650, recommended is 650. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to discuss.
All right, well, I already asked.
I know. But you gotta make the motion.
Oh.
That's how you gotta do it. So.
Go ahead, Mr. Long.
Okay. Based on the description, are these training for the function or are these training for town requirements, and should it be in a different line? Is there, when I see combating sexual harassment, I don't think of finance. I don't know if there's a training at the town level, because I would assume that everyone has to take sexual harassment training. Maybe not. I know at least in the firm that I work for now, we take, sexual harassment. There's any number. There's IT, anti-phishing, securing data, things like that are done at sort of the entity level, not at the department level.
So I'm going to let Mr. Corcoran answer this, but I'm going to preface it by saying the township does do yearly mandated harassment training that we do through our MSI Learning. However, CEUs are not provided through there. And I'm pretty confident Mr. Corcoran has to prove CEUs, and it's probably one of the ones he can select from. But Mr. Corcoran, if you'd like to expand on that.
Yes, if I may, Councilman, this is basically, every 2 years I need to get 30 credits to renew my CMFO license. So this is the account that runs through.
Understood. I guess the question then is, if To Mr. DiCarlo's point, everyone within the township takes a sexual harassment course. Is there a particular reason why it's being taken again?
Well, when was that training?
No,
Does it
it's
have-
not, it's not related to that. Like I just mentioned, it's related to the maintaining my TMFO license. And basically, it's 30 credits every 2 years. And I get all those credits actually all through webinars. So I'm taking like 7 or 8 a year, to maintain those 30 credits.
Okay,
Because each webinar is 2 credits.
so
So I think
Over
he's
2 years
looking,
span, that would be 15 of those.
I think he's looking to see something that fits the, closely associated with what a CFO does. So where did the option come from for this course? Was this one of the options that they provided to satisfy your credit?
Yes, it's run through through IPD, Institute of Professional Development. They're the organization that provides all these webinars. I need, like I said, it not only is it 30 credits over the 2-year period, but you need to get at least 4 credits in 4 different categories. So you have to kind of figure that out as you're going along in terms of what webinars you choose.
So this was one of the offered courses for credit.
Through IPD, yes.
Case post.
They're the organization that runs the webinars for not just me, for QPA, tax collector. They do the majority of the courses for that to renew your license.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion on training? Anybody like to make a motion for the 650? I'll make a motion for the 650. Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
No.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
No,
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Finance treasurer miscellaneous expense 4-01-20-130-500. Requested is 500, recommended is 500. Any discussion?
Make a motion to accept.
Anyone second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilman Casio,
Yes.
Councilman Sears,
Yes.
Councilman Oman,
yes,
Councilwoman Velez,
Yes.
Council President DeSena.
Yes. Financial services fee 4-01-20-132-200. Requested is 23,000, recommended is 23,000. Discussion, it's for LVB Financial Services, AFS Budget Review, ADS, LoSAP, and QPA stipend. Who-
I'd love for you to talk about it, but if you're staying consistent, this does include the stipend that the QPA receives.
Is
If you want to
is-
skip over it.
Is the remaining amount a contractual amount that you could provide to us if we table it?
It's an agreement. I don't know if I would call it a contract, but yes, it does. I do have something that lists the fees associated with each of those tasks.
Is it okay for everybody if we table this and Mr. DiCarlo provides us those fees for those tasks? And we do have to table it since it is a salary of one of the employees.
That would be great.
All right, so I'm going to table 200.
And just to be certain what you're talking about, you want to see the documentation that lists the fees for those individual services, the AFS budget
Yeah.
review, blah, blah.
Everyone except for the QPA stipend.
Gotcha, okay.
Right, does that work?
Yeah.
Correct, because that's a separate person.
Right. I mean,
It's really 2 individuals making up this line item, right? Or
Well,
a
it's one
firm,
individual
a firm and an
and an entity.
individual, right?
yes, and it's okay if I just share it with you informally through, you want me to send it through Ms. Wachowski or?
If you could send it through Ms. Wukowski, this way
Okay.
we-
No
yeah,
problem.
this way we can't get in trouble. Audit services, I guess we'll do audit services and we'll stop there because we're going into another department, if everybody's okay with that. 4-01-20-135-200, 37,000 requested, 37,000 recommended. Any discussion on this item?
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the expenses, Mr. Berets is charging us in the financial services fee, and he's also charging us for audit services. And while I am in receipt of the email and the letter that Mr. DiCarlo forwarded from Lurch Vinci, you know, I think he has a vested interest in saying that there's no conflict. But if you have a person auditing, preparing financial service documents or documents and then having to audit them, you know, it is presents a conflict in my mind. I mean, that, so I'd, you know, just like.
So is this a contracted amount or is this a hourly amount?
It's a contracted amount. Again, it came as, when requesting quotes or, you know, proposal for, in order to complete the budget preparation, that's where I received that information.
So, Mike, to your question, there's an annual audit fee of $35,500. I don't know if that has changed for 2024. And then we were charged, I'm assuming, some type of hourly service by Baris, who's, I think, the senior manager. We were charged $750.
Can we get both of those, Mr., if everybody's okay, can we get that, we'll table this one and get that one from Mr. DiCarlo if we can too? Everybody okay with tabling this one?
I mean, I can, well,
You have a,
yeah, I mean, I could send it to you guys, right? I could send it to Ms. Wachowski now so you have the numbers, but I don't know if that helps, you know?
we're gonna stop at that
Yeah,
line
okay.
anyway, so,
Okay.
all right. All right.
Yeah, just to let you know, as we part here, also, I'm going to send it to Ms. Wachowski. The only increase in proposed amount was the audit from 35.5 to 36.5, which I just rounded up to the 37. The AFS remained the same as 7,500. The budget review the same at 5,500.
Okay. So it's pretty much,
Yeah, the ADS at 1,000 and the LoSAP report at 2,500. But
oh, so it's broken down by the different
yeah,
categories.
this is very informal. It's just an email that I received from Mr. Vinci.
That's
Or
fine.
it was Mr. Vinci to Alex, and then Alex sent it to me for budget prep. But I will send it out to Ms. Wachowski right now.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I don't forget.
Is the audit services for, we choose the auditor
You have
in,
to choose
For
one.
24.
we have to choose one for 24, right? When do we do
Right.
that, after the budget?
You can do it.
Whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. I mean, as long as it's going to be due in 2024, it's going to mention it.
Would anybody be okay if we put out an RFP for audit services? Is that something, you've done that in the past, right, Mr. Wachowski?
We did it last year, and I don't think we received didn't
We
we?
got a couple. We got a.
Right, but I think you had to
two or
send it out a couple times, didn't you?
three. I think we might have.
Yeah. I think the first time, no.
Is everybody okay with sending out the RFP, just so we can get the ball started?
I'm not.
Why don't you do it, you should do that at a general meeting.
Yeah, I was going to
All
say.
right, we'll do it,
Go back.
yeah, we should do it at a
Whether
general.
you do it or not, you don't
Okay.
do it at.
That's fine.
Yeah, just keep in mind that this is just budgetary for
You are
it.
correct.
Yeah,
You are
it's-
correct.
It's not a budget.
Somebody's getting paid for it.
Motion to adjourn.
Before you adjourn, Mike, just a housekeeping question.
Sure.
Do you have any preference nights if the three big department heads want to come in? Or should I just give them the dates and see which ones work best for them? Leave it up to them with the remaining budget meetings.
What is the council's desire? Do we want the department heads here, or since Mr. Mayor and Mr. DiCarlo put all this time already in with the department heads, do we need them here?
I think without the department heads, we're just not getting a clear picture on what they need. We just can't read off a book. and they're going to tell us what their needs are. It's always been an invite to the council to listen to them, to make a clear decision. So I would love to have him here, and that's how I would vote for it.
I agree. Just tonight alone, we had questions for Ms. Witowski, and we had to table
CFO?
the CFO as well, and we had to table a couple of items because we needed more clarification. So I think it's important for us to understand some of the wants or needs for these departments. So it's important that we all hear so that we have some clarity before we make a decision either way.
Okay. Any other
Yeah,
discussion?
I think just like I
If you and
mentioned
I can, maybe we'll talk and we'll figure out when we.
Okay, because like I mentioned at the last meeting, since we've done it the past 6 years, they expected to come in, so they may not have gone into as much detail with Mark and I as they would when they're here, just assuming that they would be coming in for a 7th time.
Okay. Any other discussion? ladies and gentlemen?
My only question is, will we have some direction as to when those departments or?
If I can discuss it, if everybody's okay, I'll discuss it with the mayor, and we'll figure out dates of when it fits into the nights we're gonna meet.
Correct.
And then I'll have Ms. Witkowski send it to everybody so we know.
Okay.
Does that work for everybody?
I would just say, maybe
Or
we
you
want to stay
Mr.
from the
Clark?
8 o'clock start nights, because so try and keep it for the 7th.
Absolutely, yeah, no, I agree.
Right,
I totally agree.
yeah.
Council President, you're just going to pick up where you left off and just go page by page?
Yes.
Is there anything from the other council members that they want to focus any specific attention on that I should be better prepared on or more prepared on? And I know it sounds sarcastic, but I'm being sincere. If there's anything in anticipation for tomorrow night, I would appreciate that, if you know offhand.
I guess the reassessment number,
Okay.
that's a big one for me. So I thought we were gonna finance that, so if Mr. Corcoran can maybe, or whoever is gonna help us figure out how to finance that, Mr. Beinfeld or Mr. Corcoran, how we're gonna finance that, to break it out into as many years as possible to defer,
I will certainly ask for clarification again, but the information I've gotten is a reval can be done over that special 5-year emergency.
Correct.
But the reassessment has to be funded in the individual year it's in. But I will certainly clarify tomorrow for that, but thank you.
That's the biggest one I see coming up that that was a big deal. Anybody else have any others?
I will be tardy tomorrow, as I told you when we first laid out the meeting.
Tomorrow's 8 o'clock, right?
Yes, so.
And you're still gonna be tardy?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
So I will be here as soon as I can.
Okay.
You want to delay just a little bit?
Do you want to go,
Half hour?
can we delay it half hour or we're not
Well,
allowed
I
to
don't
because it's
wanna-
advertised?
The advertising great.
We advertise
Yeah,
it.
that's fine. So, but I'll be here just a little.
Okay.
Anything you want to go back to? Or if you're not here, we'll go back to it.
Oh, I
Okay,
appreciate
so
that. If
she
I have
has
any
a- yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
And I
That's okay with
anticipate
you.
we're gonna go at the
Center,
same
right?
speed.
I think everybody okay with the speed? I think 10 pages a night or 15 pages a night, we'll try to go.
Yeah, it should be done.
Because you'll get us done in
6 nights.
6 nights or
6
4
nights.
nights, depending on how many pages.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, Michael.